In an 8-page letter, the White House declared it will halt all cooperation with what it terms the illegitimate impeachment probe by House Democrats, sharpening the constitutional clash between the U.S. President and the Congress. Joining us to talk about the one headline that has engulfed the American political scene is Eddie Glaude. He is the James S. McDonnell Distinguished University Professor at Princeton University. Professor Glaude is also a columnist for Time magazine and a regular on Democracy Now!, MSNBC's Morning Joe, and the 11th Hour Show. Professor, beyond the he said, she said, and the sense of déjà vu that you might sense when you see the contents of that letter, what's going on? Where are we now?
Well, I think there are a couple of things happening. I think what's clear is that we're on the cusp of a constitutional crisis in the United States. There has been ongoing criticism of the expansion of executive power. That criticism was levied during the Obama years and the Bush years and even the Clinton years, that the executive branch was overreaching its constitutional mandate. And so with the President of the United States engaging in alleged criminal behavior, or at least in behavior that would rise to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors, it triggers the constitutional oversight, the constitutional responsibility of the House of Representatives in terms of its oversight. And so the fact that Donald Trump now and the administration is refusing to hand over documents, refusing to participate in the impeachment inquiry, brings all of this to a head. There's one problem is that we have a constitutional problem where a certain understanding of executive power is being exercised and being challenged, and we have to figure out how that's going to play itself out. Another problem is Donald Trump himself. He has broken every standing norm of an American president. And he's done so in the name of what many people see as a kind of populist uprising, where he's exploited the kind of anxieties, economic and cultural anxieties of white America. And he's done so with the level of disregard for basic norms and principles of American democracy that he threatens just by his behavior alone to change the very nature of the presidency. And this leads us to the third problem. So you have the constitutional issue of the executive branch and the House of Representatives and the Congress. You have the issue of Donald Trump himself. And then you have those Republicans and those Americans, the 30%, 39%, who support him no matter what. These are the folks who in some significant way are, how can I put this? They are content to watch the carnage, right? The deconstruction of the administrative state, the challenge to the so-called deep state. They are content in some ways to witness what I take to be the dismantling of American democratic life. And so it's those three elements at the level of institutions, at the level of the individual actor, and at the level of the collective that we're facing a problem today in the United States. It's a significant problem.
Professor, Trump's anti-impeachment offensive, it's a mix of legal, political, and personal attacks. And it's usually been some combination of these right from 2016. So nearly 3 years into this presidency, lawmakers on the other side are still trying to figure out how to respond. And that speaks to the third point that you made. Are they getting any closer, any success? Are they making any dent?
In some ways, Trump is the gift that keeps giving, with the stuff that, the comments in public, what he said about Ukraine, what he said about China, the work that his campaign is trying to do in order to tar Joe Biden with corruption, the height of hypocrisy and mendacity. When you think about it in terms of Trump's own life and his own family. I think one of the interesting things about our moment is that those of us who are committed to process and those conservatives who are committed to process and institutions actually play into Donald Trump's hands. He actually presumes or presupposes that we're going to behave, right, in accordance to standing norms and processes. And because we're beholden to those processes and norms. He gets to act out because he's not. And then if we decide to act differently, then he could then say, see, you're not acting according to norms and processes. So in some ways, the strategy, at least Trump's strategy as I see it, presupposes our faith in process as he undermines it.